This is James Martin for FTE 211-49059, week 7 assignment. This is a 4-part assignment. The first part of this assignment has 4 components inside of it. There's a couple questions that we're going to answer and then go over a few other things. The first question is, when is trigger work really necessary? Typically necessary when the trigger pull is heavy, gritty, or inconsistent, and it affects accuracy and the shooter comfort. It also may be required for safety issues. The second question is, when should trigger work not be performed? Well, it should not be performed by inexperienced individuals or those without proper knowledge or tools, or if the firearm is a collectible or historically significant. Altering the trigger should be avoided to maintain its authenticity and value. Improper trigger work and avoiding problems. Improper trigger work can lead to various issues such as accidental discharges, light primer strikes, and failure to reset. They can be avoided by carefully understanding the interaction of components, ensuring proper fitment, and testing extensively after modifications. We'll be back for the next portion. For this portion of part 1, we're going to analyze a few components. First is going to be the sear and hammer, then the trigger and disconnector, and then the springs. First, we're going to look at the hammer and the sear and make sure we have positive engagement. As you can see, and without having a microscope, it's hard to tell, but this one looks like it's pretty positive. Next, we're going to look at the trigger bow and the disconnector. Here's the trigger bow. You can see it's pretty smooth. And the disconnector has all been polished and smooth so that they have good contact with each other. Smooth. Next, we're going to look at the springs. As you can see here, all the springs are laid out. You have the recoil spring. It looks to be in decent shape, which it should be because I replaced it. You have the sear spring, firing pin spring, and then your main spring. Making sure all those are functioning and no cracks and all that good stuff. And here you have the safety. I'm not going to take it out because it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's been also replaced as well. And I got a kit from Wilson Combat. Next, we're going to go over modifications that you can make. As you can see here, we have the sear, which has been polished. You have the hammer and the hooks. They've also been polished. The trigger bow has been polished and smoothed. The disconnector has also been polished and smooth. And then we're going to go after what aftermarket tools and whatnot is needed. You have sear jigs, trigger pull gauges, hammer and sear stoning tools, sear spring compression tools. The reason why you want to use those is because they're pretty essential when performing intricate trigger work, especially for maintaining safety and consistency and routine maintenance, basic maintenance and tasks. Part 2, we're going to deburr the trigger track and smooth the sides of the trigger bow. I've already done it, as you can see inside of there. I did this last week. It didn't take much at all. You just take this file right here and very lightly go down the tracks there. As you can see, the surface there. And then we have the trigger bow, which we've done prior. It's already done and smoothed, polished, ready to go. In part 3, we're going to do a dry and dummy round functions check. Got it all back together. It's empty, nothing in the chamber. There's nothing in the mag well. So here we go. It's cocked, fires, reset, fires. We're gonna cock it again. Safety is on. Nothing. Safety, nothing. Nothing. Safety off. Pull the trigger, nothing. And pull the trigger, it fires. Dummy rounds. Cycle of operations. Fed, chambered, fired. Eject. Cocked. Then we're gonna fire it again. We're gonna go eject. We're gonna check it. The reset, fire. Last round, locks back and reset. Part 4, we're going to go over 3 modifications that we would want to do or could do. For me, I've already done one, and it's replacing all the springs. And I replaced it with this kit. It's probably backwards, but anyways, it's a kit from Wilson Combat. Comes with a recoil spring, extra power fire pin spring, reduced power hammer spring, mag catch spring, sear spring, and plunger tube spring. And this spring kit has made a huge difference in this firearm as far as trigger pull and functionality. The other thing I would do would be a beaver tail, prevent hammer bite. These are known to hammer bite here. Also helps control recoil and handling. The other thing I would probably do would be change out these grips for a better grip. These are plastic. I don't necessarily like using wood. I would probably go with a polymer grip, a little bit more texture to it for better control. But that's about it as far as modifications. Unfortunately, I wouldn't do the trigger, hammer, or even do the beaver tail because the finish on this is a gray color, not the blued. So it would be hard to match this color. So yeah, that's it. All the material that I covered was provided in the lectures throughout this entire course. There's no outside sources other than the Wilson Combat site that I visit quite frequently that was used.